American technology, 40% of it is Israeli. It's labeled American. It's Israeli. They are dependent on us. They don't even know it.
Mm.
Each time they type on a keyboard, they're relying on Israeli tech, Israeli innovations that they cannot produce themselves. Okay, so you
So
have to tell
you've
them that.
so okay, so let me actually think about what you're saying. You're saying if we tell Jew haters that the technology that they're using in their computers and in their phones is made by Jews,
It's not
that is an
made by,
effective
it's invented by.
invented by.
Invented
Sorry.
by.
Yes,
Right?
sorry.
So do they
That's
want all
yep.
this technology to go to China and Russia instead of America? And who benefits? America or China?
But okay, but can I put myself in their position and
Mic
respond to
Okay.
test,
you?
mic test.
Okay,
Yeah, we
yes,
can
now
hear
it's
you now.
working.
It's
Now we can
working?
hear you. Yes,
All right.
yes, it's working. Yeah. All right. So if I was one of those Jew haters, I will tell you that the reason why they have been the technology is being invented by them is not because we couldn't do it ourselves. We
Mhm.
could, we white people could do it, and we could actually do it better. But the
Right.
reason why the Jews have manipulated us to give those technologies to them
No, they didn't give
to
them to
invent,
us.
hold
We
on.
gave them, we
Yeah,
gave the technologies to them. We gave
no,
the
I'm not
technology to
talking to you
them.
as a rational person. I'm talking to you
But
as a
that's the
Jew. As
answer. No, stop. Tell them it's
no,
cope. We gave Israelis, made the
it doesn't
technology
matter.
and gave it to Americans.
All right, but
That's the
do you want to
reality.
hear the actual? Okay, but you're not
I
letting me
know.
make their point.
Okay, I already
You
know
have
because
to.
I've been talking to them about this for several years.
Yeah,
This is
but
something that's been.
yeah, but I'm not just talking to you. I'm talking to other people here too, right? So that
No,
they
I
because
understand.
so based on my experience, they will say that the reason why the Jewish lobbies, the Jewish influencers, they're so sneaky about this, and they are they're convinced you, they brainwash the world to convince you that only they know how to make these, and we have given this to you, and you would be useless without us. But the reason why they're doing this is because they want to hear, they want to be able to listen to us, they want to everything is they realize that the modern world is about technology, and they want to basically listen to our conversation, use our phones and our computers and other technology to listen to spy on us in our homes and all of that. And they will say that it's a myth that without the Jews we cannot build these technologies. I would like and they would say that okay, call them out on their bluff. They were like, oh yeah, okay, well then if you could go, if we will suffer without you, that's fine, let us suffer without you. And we will see that the white man is actually more capable, more than we have enough intelligence and capabilities to build these things
Okay,
even 10 times better than them.
okay.
That's what they will
Can I
say.
make the full
Yeah.
point? It's not. There in Israel there are 4 times more engineers per capita than in America. America doesn't have enough engineers. It does not have engineering culture. That's why they bring Indians and Chinese. It's all cope. Tell them you're coping. You're using Israeli tech to tell us you don't need Israeli tech to type at me. That's one thing. Then the next topic is which countries in the world love America? Just put it on the screen for them. Because what happens is they're saying to you something, you're telling them the opposite, but you don't give them data. So if you don't give them data, you're just saying the opposite. They're saying Israel is a terrible ally, and you're telling them Israel is the best ally, but you're not telling them what they're getting from Israel. And what they get is technological leadership in the world. If they want to lose that edge, they're screwed. The dollar will go into 50 cents. That's the reality.
Okay, I'm
The,
not going
the
to
stock
speak because I
exchange will
saw.
fall and it will not come back. That's the reality.
Armin, why won't you reply? And then we have Deborah, Samantha, and Joseph.
All right. So again, their response, not mine, would be that the reason why the polls show that the Jews love America and they support America is because they're two faced, they're lying. They actually tell you that they love you, but they go uh, plan against you behind your back. So they're a lying bunch of people that you cannot trust. So don't trust them when they say they love
I
America,
think
because
by that
hold on,
time,
hold on, hold on. Maybe I'm not finished on America. And then if you say that you do not have enough engineer, they will say because the Jewish lobby and the Jewish influencers have flooded our country with cheap labor from other places in a way that our
Yeah.
engineers could not compete. If you actually
No.
get rid of these other foreigners with their cheap with that cannot be competed with, because these corporate elites, they're looking for the cheapest price, rather than the American workers that are more than qualified, would have been more than qualified to be engineers if they were given the opportunities. The reason why we don't have enough engineers because it's hard to compete with such cheap labor coming from foreign countries. That's what they would say.
Yeah, you
But
can
then,
tell them no. The reason you're not done with engineers is because you're spoiled brats who all want to be famous,
oh,
while kids in China want to be engineers and astronauts. That's why.
hey,
Don't blame the
don't
Jews. Yeah.
don't be anti-American now. Like I agree
But
that
this is
they
how
are.
this is how you have
They're
to
not.
answer
No,
them.
America has its, like,
Okay.
okay.
How's
I'm
that?
pro
How's that
immigration
anti-American? Buzz
Forget
because
an
you're
Aldrin
American. Go
generalizing
is the
all.
most
study.
American
You're
thing in the
studying
Generalizing
world.
yourself whining about Jews. Go
generalizing
study
American.
engineering. Go
The
study
Jewish
engineering
American
instead of
are American.
whining about Jews.
There's no sense of what's coming out of here, guys. Please, one by one.
So you asked me a question, how is that an anti-American? Because he generalized, he said, because you, as in all Americans, are a whole bunch of spoiled brats. That's not true. I mean, I'm pro proper, filtered, controlled, legal migration. Okay, so I'm not like one of those isolationist anti-migrants, but and I welcome getting the best of the best from other countries. However, we should also agree that America produces really good, intelligent, hardworking. I mean, America has more entrepreneurial spirit than any other country in the world. So I mean,
Really?
I want to appreciate.
Half of
Yes,
new companies are not Americans, they're immigrants. They used to have all
yeah.
this spirit.
So that leaves
Let's stay
another
on
half.
topic.
That actually that proves my point. Okay, because that leaves half of them which are American, and the half that is not American, you have to cut it between all the countries that they come from. So each country by itself will not be as much as the half that is American. So by just saying
They
half,
still,
that
they
shows that
still,
America.
they used to
And
do it on
also,
their own. They used to do it on their own.
Americans are the most productive people in the world, and as much as America needs immigrants from other countries, those countries would love Americans to come from America to their countries to work as well. So we should, in while we celebrate Israel or other countries, we shouldn't dismiss how good America is, because
Okay,
America
but you
is
look, you jumped on what I said. When I said you, it's you people in the chat. Go and study
okay.
engineering instead of whining about Jews.
Okay, fair point. Okay, I'm going to stop talking because other people are trying to talk as well. Sorry.
Deborah. Deborah? She gone?
And of course, I love America, so you don't have to convince me.
Yeah,
Disagree
okay,
with me.
okay. Yeah,
I
Deborah's
think
gone for
she's
some
gone.
reason.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay, I don't know.
Samantha.
So Samantha.
Okay, yeah, I really just have to say, Masad, listening to you speak, like, it kind of reminds me of like a situation where you have someone who is like, let's say, saying to me, like, oh, you should want to do something because Jesus says it's a good idea, or you shouldn't do this because it's un-Islamic. And it's like, I don't care what's Islamic or what you think Jesus said. Like the people who hate Israel, they hate America. Like you're saying things like, "Oh, do you want this to go to China or Russia?" Like yes, they think China and Russia are better than America. You're saying things like, "Oh, this is going to hurt the American economy," like it's a bad. They want to hurt the American economy. They want to bring down the American economy. They think it is a great thing if we can bring down the American economy, because bringing down the American economy is bringing down capitalism. That's going to, like, that's a great thing to them. So yes, they do want to bring down the American economy. Like, you
Bring-
know,
Yes.
Yeah,
This will expose them, though.
they think it's bringing down the degenerate West, which they think needs to be humbled and punished for its sins.
Yeah, well, they wouldn't say in their mind they're not bringing down America, they or the West. In their mind, they're saving the West from the degeneracy and the liberalism,
Sure,
and
that's their
bringing
view.
Dejal. I can't hear what you're saying. Your audio. Sometimes your audio is really good. Sometimes it's really bad. I don't know why. What is it?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah, try
Yeah,
to try whatever you do to make the audio quality good. Try to always keep it like that. I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'll do that.
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's their viewpoint. Yes, but like what the practical result of what they're doing is, yeah, it's going to bring down the West. I mean, like Nick
Yep.
Fuentes, he wants to destroy, abolish the Constitution, replace it with a theocratic Catholic monarchy. Calls himself America First. It's the greatest inversion you can think of.
Yeah, like I literally I've like hung out with people who like were so extreme that they celebrate 9/11 because they view 9/11 as like an act of anti-capitalism that brought down like the economic trade of the World Trade Center and that we deserved it for um you know imperialism and capitalism.
And were those people on the left,
Yeah.
Samantha?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. This is my point by saying those things, Armin, because what it does is expose them as anti-American leftists. This is the whole point. So when you tell the audience that these ideas actually are bad for America because it relies on Israeli technology, most sane Americans don't care. They want the technology. They don't care. They don't want to lose the technology. They don't want to lose to China. So they will look at Nick and people like that and think these are people who are going to lose us the economy. They're going to destroy us because they've been you exposing what they're doing. They're saying the America first. The worst thing you could do to America is give all the technology Israel makes to China. That will destroy America.
Mossad, let's wrap it up because I want to let Joseph speak. That's your conclusion? Okay, Joseph.
Yeah. Eh, Okay. I'm going to be upfront here. I'm an American. I'm pro-American. Okay. A lot of people like to put down the United States because we're so capitalistic. But the fact of the matter is, we're coming up on our 250th birthday. In 250 years, we went from 13 colonies taking on what was the world power at the time. And now we are the dominant power in the US. Now, as far as innovation goes, the United States leads the world. Now, there are some technologies that do come out of Israel. I know for a fact uh, the original IBM 8086 chip came out of the IBM Haifa labs. And so I know a lot of technology. CDMA, uh, cell phone technology came out of Israel. That's Qualcomm. The What makes Israel and the United States so unique is the fact that they encourage innovation. There is a strong capital. They have strong laissez-faire capitalism in both nations. This is the reason why the EU gets so upset with Israel. It's because they're not playing by the EU's rules. United States doesn't play by the EU's rules. We keep developing things one after another. Both nations do. I've watched this. I know where a lot of the technology that here in the United States is usually joint effort or joint U.S. Israeli uh, efforts. It's something I said a couple nights ago. Businesses don't operate in a vacuum. We all rely on technology. Nations like China are, yes, they have this gigantic R&D budget, but it's all geared towards reverse engineering what they steal. China's technological leaps are because they stole it from someone else. Most likely the United States, Israel, some from Europe. I just recently saw China's new stealth bomber. You can't tell me they didn't copy the design, probably without not understanding it, of the B 2 Spirit bomber. And if it wasn't for the laissez-faire capitalism we have here in the United States, such that it is, and what I also see in Israel, a lot of the technologies would not exist. It's not that they're going to go to China. China can't develop crap. I'm sorry. I've seen, if you take a look at their military, everything is a copy of somebody else's. I mean, Russia, for all of its problems, actually has better innovators than China. But the other thing I was going to bring out is Armin had mentioned about the United States being the most productive country. That's actually been proven several times. I remember the first time I heard that was 1996. University of Bonn in Germany decided to go and see which nations were the most productive. Now, if I was to ask you which nations were most productive, up in the top 10, right, probably at number 1 would have been Japan for a lot of people. Japan came in at 10. Number 1 was the United States. For all of our, for lack of a better term, softness, our population is the most productive, even with 20% of it basically being a parasite class. But we're still productive. Israel, I think, has very similar numbers because they came in at number 3 for productivity. Now, that was in 1996. I don't know what the numbers are today, but I do remember that because it was one of those things where you started looking at the freer the nation, the more productive it was. I'm done.
You're muted.
I am. We've decided that we're gonna go with 2.5 minutes for each participant, so we can make it on point, and we'll do it from now on. I will be on the timer. If I'm interrupting you mid-sentence, I will try to give you an extra couple of seconds, but if I interrupt you, so I'm sorry. We have now Mossad and then Armin and myself. Mossad, floor
Great.
is yours.
Hopefully less than 2 minutes. Just wanted to name a few. I put them in the chat, but there's many, many more. I can't remember. I mean, Motorola is Israeli. All the Intel Core, from the Celeron to the Intel Core up to today, is Israeli innovation. NVIDIA networking was totally Israeli company, Mellanox, all Israeli, nothing to do with America. America bought it to incorporate the technology into NVIDIA. Since then, NVIDIA shares gone up, I think, 6 times. ChatGPT developed by an Israeli, but in America. Tesla Autopilot system bought from Israeli developers. Waze developed in Israel completely independently. EEPROM is an invention of an Israeli in America. RSA was developed by 2 Israelis and an American. A lot of it is absolutely cooperation with Americans, but you can see a lot of it isn't. I'm sure China just needs to give us the money. You know, if they want to buy an Israeli company for 5 billion and America doesn't want it, China will have it because people want the money. It's simple as that. They don't need to innovate. We'll be fine. We can innovate with Indians, with Iranians. We can innovate with ourselves, with Russians. I mean, Russians are actually ahead on technology. I mean, if you notice, a lot of the development in America recently are because of Russian immigrants, many of them Jewish. So there's the damage to the American economy that would be bad relationship with the Jews and Israel is immense. So I think that just needs to be reiterated because sane Americans don't want they want America to be strong and have a good economy. That's it.
Okay, Armin, that's you.
Okay, so I asked Gemini if if America's economy is going to collapse without Israel as an ally. It gave me a very long answer, but then I told it to
No.
give me a shorter answer. And then it told me the American, so here's the shorter answer. The American economy is roughly 50 times larger than Israel's. While the relationship is valuable, the US is not financially dependent on it. And says trade volume, Israel accounts for less than 1% of total US trade. Losing
Yes.
this would be a rounding error. Hold on, a rounding error in the broader economy. And it says the tech sector, major US tech companies, Intel, Google, Apple, rely on Israeli R&D, research and development. Ending ties would slow innovation and hurt specific stock prices, but the companies themselves would survive. And then it says
Of course.
defense. So it says defense. US defense contractors would lose a reliable customer, but the US government would actually save the 3.8 billion it sends in annual aid. So as a summary, the US might face headaches in the technology and pharmaceutical sectors, but the fundamental economy would remain stable. So this is what Gemini says.
Yes.
And
But
then
but then
the other way around. Okay, I'm going to tell the other way around. I'm going to wait for my turn again because I don't want to go over the 2 minute mark. So
You
what
okay.
do you
have
guys
you have
think?
you have another minute.
All right. So the other way around, while the US would experience a bad headache without Israel, Israel would face a heart attack. Um, so it says so Israel without Israel would okay. So so it says US without Israel, US would be a headache, but for Israel this would be a heart attack. Military, it says defense capability would degrade rapidly. Economy, a likely depression driven by capital flight and the cost of replacing US aid. Global standing, high risk of isolation and sanctions. The relationship is arguably essential for Israel's economic survival, whereas it is merely beneficial for the United States. So that's what AI says.
yes. But I think it's not seeing the full picture because a lot of stuff
I'll add
goes
you to
under
the
the
list.
radar.
I'll queue you to the list. Okay, Mossad. I'll queue you to the list. All right. Yeah, so I have a couple of points about it. Number one, I think that it doesn't really reflect like what's the GDP that the companies the joint companies are making, because I think that lots of the American sectors, whether they know it or not, they are using Israeli technologies in which if they didn't have them, they need to rely on others. And I don't think that you can compare just by talking here in the chat what would be better, if what the Jews are making is better than an alternative that they might have got. I don't think that they have a better alternative because they're Americans. If they would have had it, they would use it. So I assume that we are that lots of the software and lots of the stuff that we have and we produce and they use in order to create other things that are completely different. I think that this is something that was not in the statistic that you read, Armin, but you can correct me if I'm wrong. Um, and the second thing is nobody's going to freaking China. I don't know where you're coming with this. Nobody's going to China. Nobody's going to Russia. We know that they're thieves. We know that there's nothing that we can share with them that will remain confidential. That they will not copy and paste. We know it. It's that they're not governments to do business with when you are in our position. Um, I don't think so. And and regarding the initial question that we started with the debate with, which was how do we talk to a groiper basically and explain it to him. And I wrote it to myself that it really does matter who you're speaking to, because some of these groipers are you can't change their mind. You will show them stats and they will lie. It doesn't really matter. They follow the chief. They don't follow the facts. So I don't think that if we're talking to a Groiper, I don't think that it really matters. And I did it. I have 15 seconds and said, okay, I won't use them. Mossad? Nobody else?
I see
Aside.
you said some of the stuff I was going to
Um,
say. Um, but yeah, you cannot do it by looking at exports and things like that. Israeli companies operate as American companies, so you have to look at it more closely. So there are lots of companies on the Nasdaq that appear American, but actually they are a cover for Israeli products. The developments that we make on American weapons, no one else could make because no one else that is actually engineers is using the American tech. Is actually using it in the field. So no one can really test it and improve it. Um, so if you do it on ChatGPT, yeah, you will get, yeah, it's obviously it's very important to Israel, but I'm trying to say to them, you will lose a great deal. I will not say the American economy will collapse, but it will cause a great damage. Every American will be poorer, and they will
I guess
start to see
inefficiency.
company. I think they will
No,
see
that's okay.
they will see large companies in China suddenly do get access to Israeli tech because Israeli companies will look for market, and in the end, it will be Chinese companies that buy it because it's you need to sell the stuff, you need to pay your employees. If the Americans don't want it, someone else will take it. Oh, sorry,
Okay,
one more.
it's my turn.
Something you don't see in these numbers. For example, Google just bought an Israeli company for $35 billion. You will not see that in GDP and things like that. Why
You
did they
do.
pay so much for Israeli technology? Couldn't they get it cheaper somewhere else? Couldn't Americans make it?
Okay, can I
Ami?
talk now? By the way, well, they could, but it would be more expensive. Like just because you buy from Israel, that doesn't mean there's no other alternative. That means that's the best alternative. And if you lose that alternative, it's not that you're going to be all of a sudden hopeless and no and you're going to have no options. You're going to go with your next option. You're not going to be completely. So actually, let me respond to both of these. So with regards to um, India and China, right, and other customers, they're yeah, that would be what Israel would have to do, but they don't have the buying power that the United States has. They're not even close. It's like if you have if it's like if you are you have clients, you have a business and you have clients, and you have a very very rich client. If you lose that client, you're not going to say like, well, I'm going to be okay, I'll go just find other clients. Well, yeah, but other clients are not this rich. They don't have this buying power. So it's not replace United States is never replaceable. Like China, India, the entire world combined is not going to be able to replace United States as an ally. So it's not like, oh, it's okay if we lose US, we're going to go somewhere else. It doesn't work like that. Nothing can replace United States. And also on top of that, China is a strategic partner to many Islamic countries, right? And China would not sacrifice its ties to the Muslim world to be like they would trade with Israel, but they wouldn't become a major ally of Israel because of how deep they're connected to the Islamic world. And even in the UN, China sometimes uses their veto power to as to protect the interests of Islamic countries. So this is again, United States has always had Israel's back in the United Nations. So losing United States, I mean, even if you didn't have the UN, whatever international United States has a huge leverage on international agreements. Losing that would be devastating for Israel. And then India is a massive buyer of Israel weapons already, but again, it's not at all, it doesn't have the relationship, it will never have the relationship United States has with Israel, right? India maintains a strict non-aligned policy. Instead of United States is very aggressively pro-Israel. India right now and will always be non-aligned. So it will trade with Israel, but it will never be an Israeli major Israeli ally. It doesn't want to get into all of this war and mess to come and defend Israel or anything like that. So they just is so India and
Amin, wrap it
China and
up.
countries like that are going to be good. Oh, okay. So I'm going to raise my hand again for my second turn to complete this.
Or you can wrap it up in like a minute if you can.
Okay, so yeah, India and China are good for trade, but US offers survival. So military cooperation, UN vetoes, F-35s, stuff like that, and also Israeli tech. If United States uses Israeli tech, this is, I say this not because I'm trying to like dismiss the importance of Israel. I just want to be realistic. I want Israelis to value their uh, United States as much as they should be, because this is very devastating to lose, right? So I asked Gemini, if Israel can, if United States use Israeli tech, would they be able to replace it? So it says yes, eventually it would take 2 to 3 years and cost billions to move R&D centers for chips and cybersecurity to US or Europe, but American giants like Intel and Google have the resources to adapt. So it's going to be it's going to be hard, it's going to be difficult, it's going to be costly, but eventually they will be able to do it. Just like they're doing it right now with Taiwan. They're moving it in-house, a lot of the things that is happening in Taiwan. And it says, can Israel survive without US tech ties? No. While Israel engineers are brilliant, the money funding them is American. Without US venture capital and access to the US market, the Israeli tech sector would starve. So
All
there's
right.
that.
Most of this venture capital is run by Jews.
All right.
American Jews.
Joseph, the floor is yours.
Yeah, I'm gonna uh, cancel that.
Yeah,
I look at when we're talking about Israel moving to China. The first thing that went through my mind is nope, that's not going to happen for a number of reasons. China wants technology without the oh god, what's the word? I don't. Basically, they want the technology, but to be honest about it, they don't know what to do with it. Like I said, they've got the largest R&D budget in their R&D budget for China is absolutely insane, and they and it is all geared to reverse engineering. If you take a look, you can take a look at their current. I'm going to put this in air quotes, sixth gen fighters, and you take a look at them and it goes, well, they were copying either the Russian Sukhoi or the American Raptor or F-35, the Lightning II. I can't see Israel even thinking of going towards China. If anything, they would move towards probably more of Western Europe. But when I started looking, when I did a quick look to see how much of their trade, and Armin hit the big part of it, exports to the U.S. from Israel is 27 to 28% of Israel's total output. Um, Imports from the U.S. is about 10 to 12% to Israel. Those are the actual numbers of, if you're looking at some people say, well, that's a trade imbalance. Well, to a certain degree, it's not. And as also pointed out, a lot of what's being done are joint ventures between U.S., mostly U.S. companies. Like I said, the you go back to the early days of the computer, the 8086 chip. It was developed at IBM's Haifa Labs, but it was built on American tech that already existed. So it's we have a symbiotic relationship with Israel. And I don't see that changing any without a major shift in DC. And I don't even see that shift happening because
Final point.
yeah, that's I just don't see that happening. I'll just leave it right there.
Okay. Not seeing it happening. Cat lady, it's you and then Mossad.
Hi. Okay, I have many points. Um, okay, first of all, I want to remind, I already wrote it in the chat, but I want to remind people that the supposed nukes didn't happen with the US. It was actually with France, I think. Um, Also, don't ever say, okay, I cannot imagine something. Survival is pragmatic, and also about who will it be, if anything, then why walking towards the West? The West today, look at it from our perspective. They are not loyal to us. They're disrespectful. They are shitting on us on every point. Sorry, and um, and we know too. And they're not really impressive these days. Generally, I'm sorry, less impressive. Uh, the Western like countries, and also we know to appreciate uh, other societies, and we have a lot to offer them actually, very easily. And there is a lot of talent there. You can find. You just need to appreciate those stuff. I'm not so. What I'm saying is, if you need to do something, yes, you can do something. And also, I'm not sure why, Armin, why you're trying to convince Israelis to like and appreciate America. You got the wrong impression somehow. America as a word is like an expression in Israel for like, that's America. It's like you don't need more than that. It's like, we love America. We appreciate America a lot uh, on very many different levels.
That's not what I said.
No, no, no. I'm not saying you said it. I'm saying I'm not understanding why you're trying to convince. You said you're trying to convince Israelis to
That's
appreciate more.
I'm not trying to convince you. I
It
know
it was
Israelis
an
better.
anecdote. It was
Oh,
it
okay,
was a
okay.
very specific anecdote. It wasn't a talking point.
I also came late, so maybe I lost something in like the connection. So, what else did I want to say? I'm not sure if I will remember. I'll come again, I guess. I had like 10 points and I remember two. That's my problem. You'll be
Okay.
hearing from me
R-
again.
Write
So
it down. I write.
I'll
I
just
keep a
mark
note.
you. I'll just mark it as you raised your hand now, and I'll put you on the list from now. Okay,
Yes,
Kathleen?
great,
All right.
great.
All right. So we had cat lady just
Actually,
now.
should we have a rule if somebody gets addressed, they get to respond in 30 seconds?
Oh
Like
my
if
god, I
somebody, well,
remembered.
they
Can I go back?
Do you think it's functional to do it? 30 seconds
you decide.
response.
You decide. You decide.
We can try that. Okay, we can try
Okay.
that. Okay.
Cat
So
lady, remember her point.
Yeah, 1 point.
You're gonna need lots of stopwatches now. It's gonna get complicated.
Yeah, you're right. You're
Sorry.
right. Never mind. Never mind. Bad idea.
So you said about a large buying power. That's true. Israel is not a buying power. It doesn't have like a lot of this, but um, there is also like the point that when you have like such a huge country, such a huge empire in a way, the power balance is not always like they can like demand stuff like a lot. And actually, I listened to a Muslim podcast, but a very impressive one. And I lost it. I cannot go back to it. It's popped, and they said like, and they don't like Israel at all. But they said like, if the Gulf countries could choose, they would rather have an ally with Israel, like security ally, because it's more reliable, more
Okay.
loyal.